All right, so this is We the People news. Okay, um, these people and I are not giving legal advice because we're not attorneys. However, this is a learning video. You must do your research on your own. Why? Because if you have an attorney, you waive all your rights. These people are not waiving their rights, and they can file bar grievance. They also could file judicial grievance against the judge. And attorneys will not do that. And the judge will not do that to attorneys. Okay? So, in essence, you actually hold a lot more power by not getting an attorney. Don't mean it's going to be easy, y'all. Government does not like we the people fighting back. And the more we the people stand on our own and bypass the attorneys, the more freedom we can get.
Shift that to somebody else. Well, our hand.
By the way, if you guys want to see a little bit more videos, it's more of a from this one. It's more of a religious text, and these two, I don't know too much about him, but Fonzo goes by Legalese. He goes by Legalese, and I'm not too sure about this middle guy here. Okay, however. If you want to kind of do your own little research on it, go to the, and I'm going to just spell it out with y'all, capital E-H-E, capital B-I-G-S-I-B. Okay? Again, I don't know how to do this ping thing or whatever. So, look them up. All right? Let's go.
Clean. We didn't know if his property was exempt federally or not. But
doing my job. Hey, I'm just doing my job.
Right. Just doing my job. We cannot. And listen, this is the point of me bringing it into your perspective, guys. And on the Crow Show too, we've got to shift from this idea that the system is what's the problem. It's the people. You can look out. You can look outside. You can talk to everyday Joe Blow, and you can talk to people inside these courtrooms, and you can listen to lectures by some of these judges and things of that nature. Just read some of what they write, and really, what it is, even in the high seats of office here in this country, 90% of the time you're going to be running into babbling idiots, and that's this. They're not going to rock the boat. You have to understand this from a human nature perspective. That judge goes in there and he goes against that. He rules for Alphonse. Their little Ponzi scheme is blown open. Now Alphonse, just like what Steve did it or wherever it was, I think it was Orlando, where he went around the whole little neighborhood. Well, it causes a big problem because that type of information can spread fastly. And listen, this system has been taking 100 years to get up and running, and it's a socialist takeover. That's free education, your health, because look, you get a tax bill, right? And it says maintain and operated county, right? And it's probably the third tier on that tax. The first is going to be education. That's why Alphonse is having so much. James is having so much pushback on his cases because he's going up against the school board. So your second line is going to be for hospitals and medical, two huge entities in this world. Listen, you got to understand that when you get into this fight, you've got to persevere through it. And James, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Real quick, James Smarts, something you mentioned. Guess what? Last two hearings I had, cleared courtrooms. Nobody's in the courtroom except me. The last hearing before this, he set it aside so that no one else was in the courtroom. I'm not kidding, okay? At the end of the day, we had a hearing. This one, we go in 8:45 a.m. These courts are packed down here, okay? There's nobody in the courtroom. It's me and my buddy in the courtroom. There's 3 more attorneys coming in after the main attorney. I'm thinking they're for cases coming later. No. They sent 4 attorneys to deal with me. They had boxes of stuff. So then the judge plays his little Columbo routine and says, you look familiar to me, sir. Yeah, no, you just set aside this separate time. You don't know who I am. You just see me like a month ago, but you don't know who I am. BS, okay?
It kind of reminded me. I was listening to that yesterday. Actually, I had a lot of windshield time yesterday, and so thanks for posting that, Alphonse. That was a great comic relief. Just listening to Alphonse. By the way, kudos to you for keeping your cool.
And people, it's funny. My buddy said, "Look, dude," he goes, I know, you get worked up. Listen, I knew I was going to lose that no matter what. So
yeah.
I went in there.
You know that ahead of time.
I just want to set a shot across their bow. I wanted that attorney to know, listen, I'm not going away, okay? I don't care what this guy does. We've got a problem that you've created here.
Absolutely.
So, in a federal district court case, I'd act differently.
Well, it's and to your point, Alphonse, I think until you've been through an experience like that and realize just how corrupt these individuals are that are quote unquote officers of the court. You know what I mean? Until you've been through that process and realize you are not going to get any remedy or any relief in any of these courts. This is why I stay as far away from state courts as possible. That's just me. Brandon and I have talked about this. It's not like it's any better at the federal level. At a certain point it is. Eventually there's going to be an adult in the room that's going to go, well, hold on a second. This is not how this is done. This is not our system of justice and how our law is administered here. Unfortunately, that usually takes, in any federal district court across this country, it just depends. In my district here in Utah, we have 5 district judges. We have the chief justice of the court, and we have 4 district judges, and we have 3 magistrate judges who are all chomping at the bits to get a district court judge. Well, I've got a magistrate judge that's going to be getting a judicial complaint filed against her. And at the federal level, that's a big deal. Like Randy says, you file a judicial complaint against a federal judge, the chief justice of the circuit court, they hold a hearing on it. And they invite people to give sworn testimony.
They automatically do that? That's per operational law, they have to do that?
Yes, they automatically do that. They do, yes. So, where Randy talked about, using the tools that we as pro se litigants have that attorneys won't use because they're too scared, because they're dangling by their bar card. Give me a camera, dangling by the bar card. And they don't want to do anything that could be perceived as ticking off the judge, because again, they all know each other, right? At the end of the day, they're all going to enter the bar, having drinks, talking about cases. So how is it that we, as citizens of this republic, are supposed to get a fair hearing by an unbiased judge when at the end of the day they know each other? They go play golf, they go to family outings and social events together. How is it that you're supposed to see that remedy that way? And this is the problem, and it's painfully evident in the rulings that have been issued at the federal court in the cases that I'm litigating. But as long as we stick to the rule of law and we stick to case law that we can actually back up, we have nothing to fear. So I just had to laugh, when I was listening to Alphonse's hearing and how that judge is like, well, Mr. Alphonse, this is nothing personal. This isn't against you personally. This is against your property. That's about as asinine as a hitman showing up on your door, pointing a gun in your face, saying, by the way, this is nothing personal. This is just against your body.
Did you see he showed his hand? He messed up by showing his hand. Let me show you a couple things he did that people can learn from. When somebody dies, okay, if you're an only child like I am, and my mom died, I don't need to go probate a will.
Nope.
Okay? There's no will. I could just basically, it's called intestate. If there's no will, it comes right down to me. Did you hear him ask me, do you have any siblings?
That's right.
Did you hear what that attorney did right out of the gate? He said, well, you've got to register the estate. And I said, no. I said, the estate's a legal entity. I don't have no estate.
There you go.
It's my property.
There
See, the judge did shut him down on that. He shut him down. He said, he's got interest in the property. You can't mess with that, That was his strategy, to say, I got to get an attorney to come in there. He came out with that right out of the gate. Okay. Then did you hear him? Here's the total exposure of everything. When he knows I got those properties, did you hear him ask me, well, you're not living there, right? And I said, no. He said, so are you leasing them or, renting
Yeah.
them?
Oh no, he was trying
He
to.
was trying to do?
Yeah.
He wanted me to say yes. I said, it's immaterial. It's irrelevant, I said, to the hearing. And I said, it's none of your business what I do with the property. No response, because it is none of their business what you do with the property. I can rent them properties out. That's my they can't tell me how I can make a living, what I can do with my property. It's none of their business if I don't have a business license. So the reason I put that up there is just to show people what they will try and do to you, how they'll try and that judge is not out there seeking information. He's trying to lock you into a bad position. That's his only goal. He's not to find justice. That's not his purpose. His purpose is to lock you into a bad position. Because if I said, well, I'm renting a property, he's going to say, well, you're creating commerce there. You just don't have a license. That's what he was trying to do.
Well, and this goes back to this word magic, right? That creates some super secret deal. Judge, plain and simple, is there a situs located at that? Is there some type of nexus or situs to form this jurisdiction for you to be ruling on my house? That's it. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with property taxes and things of that nature, you have to have that nexus that combines the two, right? The subjected to, because you're operating in commerce, and that's the only way. And I think he knows that. But if we can get you on the record to slip up, now we've got it on the record, and that just goes back to the principle that I spoke of at the beginning. These are not independent, unbiased, impartial tribunals for our benefit. That's not what it is. This is a well-oiled machine that the gears want to keep grinding on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's extremely frustrating when you see this. I mean, I've been spending the last couple of days myself writing a reply brief, and Brandon and I have talked about this a little bit. So, as a lot of you know, I have a friend of mine here who has been horribly persecuted in multiple ways. And one of those ways started in 2020 or 2021, I think it was right around there, when the school districts were talking about reopening after being shut down for COVID. There was a number of school board hearings, and parents all across the country showed up in force. They were furious. I mean, rightfully so. This lit a fire underneath these parents, which is good. Well, this individual, I mean, if you meet this guy, you're just like, there's not an angry bone in this man's body. And for them to accuse him of the things that they accused him of is just, it's deafening. But anyway, without taking it too much.
Right? Is that the guy that trespassed?
Yeah. So his scenario was their reasoning behind issuing him the trespass notice. So, and let me back this up a little bit. So there was a hearing that they held at the school board meeting because of all these parents that were there. It was quote unquote at capacity, and there's more than enough room for other people to show up there. But because of the COVID restriction, they couldn't allow people in there. Well, he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm a parent. I have a right to be here. Get out of the way." So that's all he said. He didn't. It was non-confrontational, even of that matter. So he walks in the door, and that's that. Well, apparently, because of that situation there, and he also gave comments during the public comment section that were critical of the school board. We have through Records Request Act's request to show that they were conspiring. And so there's a statute under Utah law that if someone from the school with apparent authority gives you either a verbal or written notice that you are no longer allowed to be on school property, you can be criminally trespassed. So there's obviously a number of problems with this. For one, the statute clearly says person. It doesn't say a man or woman. And further definitions of the term person, just like Alphonse has brought up in the Telegram channel, it falls under the doctrine of, what is it, ejustum or eju?
Ejustum generis, of like kind.
Yes, yeah. Basically, it's, The definition of a person is individual, comma, corporation, comma, everything that's behind it. So it's an all or nothing thing, right? If the legislature meant man or woman, they would have put man or woman there. But they couldn't because it would be deemed unconstitutional right off the bat. So they're using.
I thought only the owner could trespass you. So how are they?
Well, exactly. So here it gets even better, right? So who technically owns the property that schools are on? Is it the school board? Well, wait a second. I was thinking that schools are funded by taxpayers, so isn't that a public building? This is where it gets a little tricky. Now, on top of that, I've been doing a lot of research today. I found Supreme Court case law that states that parents have an unalienable right to see to the needs of their kids no matter where they are, whether they're on a school property or not. So, if I, as a parent, have an unalienable right to attend to the needs of my children, and a state statute supersede that right, Marbury v. Madison. What's that one, guys? Marbury v. Madison.
Yep.
Brandon.
That's
Anything
it.
in conflict, yeah, is a
It's
null
null and void. And that individual can ignore it. So that's what we have. So going forward to where we are, he was railroaded through these state courts. They went through an injustice court, as I call them, it's a court of inferior jurisdiction. It's not a court of record. We did everything by the book. Motion to dismiss for lack of in personam jurisdiction, lack of subject matter jurisdiction, improper venue, failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. No opposition on the record from the moving party in this case, which would be the prosecution, right? So now they're judicially stopped from objecting to it. However, the judge is like, well, whatever, it's denied.
We don't need pedestals, no, don't they?
I want to know how you were able to get that judge to actually issue an order in writing. This judge wouldn't even put anything in writing.
Let me take that down on.
Yeah.
Let's read this together. This is let's do this. I knew I'd find it. So this is just Amjur right here. A person commits the crime of trespass if the person knowingly and unlawfully enters the building or structure of another for the purpose of a statute prohibiting trespass in an occupied structure. A structure is occupied if the owners are innocent. Victims happen to be occupying the conveyance when the offender trespasses. Occupation only by those involved in trespass does not trigger the statute. Where a statute criminalizes the unlicensed entry of structures and another statute expressly defines what is a structure, the type of premises entered is critical because unless such a structure is involved, there can be no offense. So it has to be private property. And what you're gonna find out here is that this doctorate up of all we have to do is send you a notice. That's not true because it's not a trespass. It's public property there for the public.
He's there for a meeting. He's there for a school meeting, so there's no intent to injure anybody. Number two, there's nobody got injured. Okay, so now they got
exactly. There's no. If I enter a building and no one is harmed, there's no criminal intent. Where's the crime?
There's no mens rea. There's none of this stuff that's involved there. And yet, it's unfortunate because we got to think all this stuff through all the way through. And this is another topic for you guys to pay attention to because you actually have to sit and think about this stuff. For me, if I talk about it, the more I talk about it, the better, the more things click in my mind. But when they bring this stuff up to us, we just accept the statutes as they are, like they always apply across the board. But we forget that even simple things like Tate was asking about Ohio the other day, and I went on ohiogov.com, and their first paragraph states that all codes and statutes shall not supersede the Constitution of Ohio.
Pennsylvania, them statutes supersede the state and federal constitution of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I remember you bringing that up when you were in that hearing too. Brandon, do me this real quick. Pull up Westlaw and look at Seattle v. Rice.
Seattle v. Rice?
Seattle v. Rice. R-I-C-E. Yeah, while you're doing that. Seattle v. Rice. Yep.
Rice.
This was a...
And who exactly trespassed him, James? Who trespassed him in this complaint?
Exactly. I mean, that's my point. I mean,
who did they trespass him? Who are they claiming trespassed him?
Exactly. No, that's my point.
There's no party to discuss
there's
this.
no. Exactly. This is how asinine this is. I mean, this whole thing gets really good, you guys. I mean, to bring everybody up to speed, he's issued this notice, has no understanding of why the notice was issued. It doesn't state in there. We'll talk about this case here in a second. Spends 2 or 3 months trying to get answers as to why this notice was issued. They would not reply back to him in writing. They would only talk to him over the phone. He says, no, that's not good enough. He was smart enough to realize he needed something in writing. Couldn't get it. Wouldn't get it. Well, the new school year starts. It's the first day of school, and he has to go pick up his son from school. His wife is not available. He has to go get him. So, there you go. So,
Good. And hold on, let's read this because this goes back into a bunch of stuff where people are going to be able to cite back. So let's read this footnote. Due process clause of the 14th Amendment requires specificity in penal statutes and ordinances. That's really big. I'm gonna pick that up too. The entire question here is whether the words lawful order are sufficiently specific to satisfy the due process requirements of the void for vagueness doctrine. And let me bring my fat head back up here for just a second, because one of the big things that I have in my complaint is the fact against the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. We'll talk about that in a little while. Is that the chief's edict, his proclamation, his mandate, whatever it was, his ordinance, right, which is a tribal bylaw, stated that all men and women, except for children under 2, must wear scarves, bandanas, or other suitable fabrics.
Because they stop firing.
Is that other suitable fabric? That's just up in the air. Anybody can choose that. Is that void for vagueness? That ordinance?
no,
Yes, of
this
course
is
it is.
counts too, just so you know.
Yeah. Well, and this is the point of my thinking there, that it is a violation of your due process rights with these illogical, unreasonable poppycock ordinances that we read that are doublespeak, right? They're circular in logic. Like, it really does not, and we go through this every day with people trying to help them understand the context in
The
different
ordinance
statutes.
applies because the ordinance says it applies.
Well, that's right. That's
Well,
right.
that's like saying a court has competent jurisdiction because the ordinance says if the offense was committed in this area, then this court has jurisdiction. Well, that's only territorial jurisdiction.
That's right. That's right. So let's finish this. The due process clause of the 14th Amendment requires specificity in penal statutes and ordinances for 2 independent reasons. First, citizens must have fair notice of what conduct is prescribed. Second, explicit standards are necessary in order to guard against arbitrary enforcement of the laws. This is beautiful. I'm glad you brought this up.
That right there, people, is key, because let me tell you what happens in this statute. Okay.
Send that one to me.
I am. I'm posting it right now. I'm posting it in the groups right now.
Now you're going to hear. So if you notice at the top of your screen there, you've got the little warning yellow flag. There was a case that was cited in contradiction to this. So you're going to hear a lot of justices and judges will say, "Oh, that case was overturned." No, it was not. What was overturned was the term lawful order. The other parts that are critical to this case were not overturned, as far as the specificity clause of the statute and the arbitrary enforcement of the laws.
Well,
Now,
let's while you're talking, go ahead and talk about it. And what I'm
All right. Long enough. These are We the People News. Bye, y'all.